T-Rex, Dinosaurs, Extinction, Evolution, and Jurassic Park. Lex Friedman. See, they're just going to pump... I'm telling you, they're just going to keep pumping this stuff out. They can't even help it. People start questioning this stuff, and then you got to get, Lex Friedman. Also, apparently, you can't be on Lex Friedman unless you're also wearing pitch black shirts. Everything's dark. Hi, this is the Lex Friedman podcast, and this is Lex Friedman. Hi. Sorry to talk about dinosaurs.
Definitely weird, even compared to all the other giant tyrannosaurs that are very closely related to it, because it is by far, ludicrously by far, the largest carnivore in its ecosystem.
So it doesn't really have competition, actually.
I mean, so this is a velociraptor skull. There are some carnivores that are a bit bigger than this.
That's a velociraptor skull? Oh, yeah, really? That's what Jurassic Park... Look at that, guys. Look at how retarded this is. You guys remember Jurassic Park? You remember how frightening the velociraptor... Look at that thing. That's like a little coyote. Like, that's something you kick in the face. You remember? Velociraptors, they're all... They jump on kitchen tables. They hunt in packs. They're little scavengers. The apex hunting group predator, the velociraptor. Stunning and cunning. Cuts you open with one slice of its toenail. Dude, that's a little scavenger. That thing's picking up on rodents. That thing's eating bear pellets because it's starving. You kidding me? Here's the velociraptor, the most feared velociraptor, and basically has a jaw diameter that could barely eat a pumpkin. It's a possum, bro. That's like a garbage dumpster animal. What are you talking about?
This.
Look at this velociraptor. Fierce. Oof. Can you imagine what it was like if you lived at the time to see this beast haunt your dreams, be in your nightmares?
But not enormously so, which we're knocking around as T-Rex.
What a joke. Look at that thing. Look at the narrowness. What a dumb thing. Can you imagine looking at that narrow thing and being like, I'm scared of you? Dumb looking thing. Dude, as the skull, like, what is that? What is the thickness of that skull? They're supposed to be smart? Oh, they smart and hunt in packs and communicate with clicking sounds like the Africans do. I think they were trolling people. They were making fun of African tribes in Jurassic Park. Behind the kitchen door. You remember Jurassic Park? There was this scene where it turns and looks. Can you imagine how silly that would look reshot with that skull? It turns and looks, and it's just this narrow, dumb head with these bulging side eyes. I'm going to get you.
The skull's the same time tooth crown. Right, but like, you think about that, and that's like going to Africa and going, okay, there are lions. What's the next biggest predator? And it's like, well, there's a weasel about this big. Difference. And you don't get that normally in ecosystems.
It would eat the juvenile of the herbivores.
Oh, yeah,
but
it's
not...
going to...
It would eat those juvenile. They're going to take me out of the Matrix. When are they going to wake me up and wake my body and soul up? I don't know. They printed me back in 2001. And I knew that the only thing I knew already about myself was that I was going to be a famous podcaster and be propped up by Joe Rogan. I don't know anything about my childhood. I don't remember because I was made midway through my life.
Going to be eating Triceratops and Edmontosaurus and Parasaurolophus. There's even...
Unbelievable, these people. They're like children.
This is like they're sharing their action figures right now. There's dinosaur constructions are oversized action figures that you're not allowed to play with.
A couple of giant sauropods
Got
knocking
it.
around in some places. It's going to be hoovering them up. But like, how often is it going to eat? Again, Velociraptor isn't there, but how often is it going to eat something the size of an adult Velociraptor?
Yeah.
I mean, they're a fraction of our size, and we're probably too small. This is like lions hunting mice.
So he's actually describing the unrealistic reality of a T-Rex based on what they're constructing a T-Rex is. It's hunting patterns, it's eating patterns, it's dominance. It's absolute dominance. And they're trying to make sense of, well, what kind of existence would you have if you were that dominant? You know what I mean? And instead of going, well, maybe we're making a lot of this stuff up. You ever think about that? No.
Like, you're just not going to, unless one like virtually runs into your mouth, you're not going to go and try and eat it.
The following is a conversation
Following this conversation with me, who is a robot, and some other guy who believes in oversized action figures.
with Dave Hone, a paleontologist, expert on dinosaurs, co-host of the Terrible Lizards podcast,
Oh, this is going to be fantastic.
and author
What is it? Christmas time? Is this early Christmas?
of many scientific papers and books on the behavior and ecology of dinosaurs.
If there ever was a demonstration of someone who is considered to be human but wasn't made in the image of God, I would be the top candidate for that specimen.
This was truly a fun and fascinating conversation.
Wake up, dude. Wake up. Join humanity, bro.
Hi, I'm Lex Friedman, and I'm dead inside.
Sending my cave woman super chat. Abby doing man's work here. Failure on the L's in the chat for the men. You know, other guys did their work. You guys letting Abby do all the work? Unbelievable. You should be embarrassed. What do you scream goal for 30 seconds or something? What do you got, gay lungs?
This is the Lex Friedman podcast.
This is a Lex Friedman podcast, and I smoked DMT just before.
To support it, please check out our sponsors in the description and consider subscribing to this channel. And now, dear friends, here's Dave Hone. Let's start with the T-Rex dinosaur.
Yeah, let's start with it.
Possibly the most iconic predator in the history of Earth.
Unbelievable.
You have deeply studied and written about their evolution, biology, ecology, and
We did.
behavior. So let's
Okay, all right.
first maybe
Okay.
put ourselves in the time of the dinosaurs and imagine we're standing in front of a T-Rex. What does it look like? What are the key features of the dinosaur in front of us?
Another question is, how does that have sex with those big tails? And what does it do with his front paws? Is it just is it so that the predators think it's not actually that aggressive because the prey thinks he's gay? Why does it have these flimsy wrist front claws? What does it do with that? What do you do with that?
It's gigantic. It's almost trite now because everyone knows T-Rex is massive. But yes, if you actually stand in front of one, you would be seriously impressed just how absolutely vast they are. So I've got a copy of a T-Rex skull.
You mean every single thing that's a T-Rex is a copy, actually. So what are you talking about? I've got a copy of one, which is also a copy of a copy. Yeah.
Downstairs from my office. And yeah, I could fit comfortably through its mouth. So it
This guy's a freak. This guy should be looked into.
would be just about capable of swallowing me whole, and I'm a pretty big guy.
Your body, you can fit in
I can
its
fit
mouth.
I can fit through it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, so you're saying the paper mache construction of a T-Rex, you can fit in the mouth of it? Wow, I'm actually having a human emotion right now. Hold on. Wow, I'm Lex Friedman, and I had my first emotion at 46.
Wow.
And it's not even a
Life's practitioner, Jimbob, do Lex Friedman try to filibuster God out of hell? That's funny, dude.
I'm Lex Friedman, and I didn't know you exist. So, let's say God hypothetically in a scenario where I thought I was in a simulation. Let's say hypothetically I did all good things but didn't know who you were. Hypothetically, does this reduce or increase my orientation toward you? Just hypothetical. Go ahead.
Particularly big one. It's a copy of the one that's in.
So hypothetically, if let's say I live my life based on the assumption that everything I thought and believed was determined. So hypothetically, how responsible am I for my sins if I didn't know that existed? Thank you.
In the Smithsonian, and they get bigger than that.
You have a 2-scale copy.
Yeah.
A 2-scale copy. Yeah. We copied and printed them all. We made them. They're made at the same place that they make cranes. This thing is 400 trillion years old, and let me tell you, it's daily routine. Yeah, that's funny. Exactly. Precisely. Every 10-year-old boy already knows all of this, right?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a cast. So it's just a giant mold made.
Yeah, that's what all of them are.
And then
nice.
pulled out like the dentist
It's in my basement.
do your teeth, but very, very big. So yeah,
So yeah, that's literally what you're crafting your entire concept on.
they are 12-ish meters long. So what's that?
Can I have one made that's not the actual size? Oh, of course. They're all casted. They're all made just like toys. You make them even bigger if you want, if you can afford it. I've got 3 on my property. I've got 3 in a row, a little family of T-Rexes.
At 14 yards, 4.5, maybe 5 to the top of the head standing up. So another 6 yards high, and then 7-ish metric tons. What's that, about 8.5 short tons. So a colleague of mine, Tom Holtz, described them as an orca on land. That's it. It is a killer whale-sized animal, but on legs on land. And those are massive predators. So you're looking at something absolutely colossal.
Yeah, I know. You think that you have something.
And I think that is what will stun you. I think people don't realize how big a lot of animals are, which sounds weird. But I used to work in a few zoos, and something I think you notice is when you go and see things like elephants or giraffes or rhinos, everything's built to the scale of the animal. The elephant house is huge. The doors are huge. The bars are huge. The food is huge. And so you don't see them in the context of something that you have a good frame of reference for. And I learnt this, when I was at London Zoo and was going into the basement of the old elephant and rhino pavilion, and a rhino stuck its head out from like this gap in the wall. And the head was twice the size I thought it was once you stood next to it. And the same with an elephant. I once stood next to an elephant closer than you are to me now, and you go, oh, they are so much bigger than I thought. And I think it's similar in museums. Like, even when you get up relatively close to a T-Rex skeleton, there's a bit of space between you and it, and then some bars, and then it's usually raised up a little bit on a mount it on a little.
Same thing. Experienced the same thing when I was on Tinder. Met up with Cynthia. Much larger in person. Much larger.
Mount to hold the platform, and then you stand back from that, and you don't actually get to stand like under them. And when you do that, you realize that the foot finishes at my knee.
So is a T-Rex bigger than an elephant?
So is a T-Rex bigger than an elephant? Sometimes my brain is not working right.
That'd be fair to say?
Yeah.
Is it fair to say a T-Rex is bigger than an elephant? Man.
Yeah. I mean, a very large savanna African elephant is 5 to 6 tons, and we're looking at 7+. And a biped and a carnivore. So a big lion is 200 kilos, so 430 pounds.
It's amazing how excited they get of their fantasies.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I mean it's widely considered to be probably the most epic predator in the history of Earth.
Yeah, I mean, and I think more than that, I think it's one of the most iconic animals, period.
Yeah, it's a pop icon. It's bigger than Katy Perry as far as pop culture is concerned. I agree. Much more massive effect on society than Madonna.
I mean, if you're listing things that
Dude's gonna Kumo. Yeah, seriously.
the average person has heard
Dude's probably wearing a diaper right now.
of. Lion, elephant, giraffe, tiger, hippo, rhino. There's a few more, but
So far we're 6 minutes in, and they've established that the thing that they're assuming existed a long time ago, based on reconstruction of some level of symmetry of bones found, is that there was a large animal that looked like a chicken, had tiny little front arms, and was the apex predator.
but T-Rex is coming somewhere
I liked dinos when I was 9.
up in that list. That's how
You
prominent.
know what he should ask? He should be like,
According to evolution, were they always that big? Did they come from something smaller? Or did they come from something bigger? These are the questions that keep me up at night on Lex Friedman podcast.
It is as an animal. So, yeah, it's almost inescapable as a paleo.
Did T-Rex ever... Have you ever considered how a T-Rex has sex? Is it considered dino style?
Paleontologist, and then doubly so for me who works on dinosaurs, and doubly so.
Do you think that T-Rexes necessarily can grape other dinosaurs? And is that the only way for them to survive on Lex Friedman podcast?
So again, because I do work on Tyrannosaurs.
just asking, do you think dinosaurs are made up? Large animals are not made up. Large animals exist, and large animals existed. But yeah, for the most part, this guy who's literally looks like he's at day camp. Look at his eyes, dude. This is an emotionally insane person. Like, this is someone who's trapped in a 7-year-old body, or a 7-year-old mind trapped in a 48-year-old body. I mean, look at him. This is like his fantasy come true. This guy has an unhealthy relationship to dinosaurs. Look at him. It's the kind of eyeballs you lock people up for. Look at him. That's what my son looks like when I finally give him the fruit snacks. He loses it. Bro, you got a lunch? Did you bring a lunch box? Did you bring a little tin lunch box with a dino on it for lunchtime at Lex Friedman?
Yeah, it just dominates conversations.
Well, some of the other features maybe we can go through.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Big skull, big head, small hands.
Massive head, very kind of boxy. It's very robust. Big forward-facing eyes, massive eyes, I mean,
Wait, a T-Rex has forward-facing eyes, like a face, like Barney? Is that true? I thought a T-Rex was kind of like a chicken and a lizard, like their conception of it is that it has side eyes like a reptile. And those aren't considered forward-facing. Forward is like they're both on the same plane of the face. Now you've really made T-Rex look goofy. Really goofy.
tennis ball-sized eyes. These things had amazing eyesight.
Say massive again. Massive tongue.
Yeah, giant teeth. There's a cast of a
What?
Tyrannosaurus rex
What?
tooth. Yeah,
Where did you get this?
Well, it was cast at a place that does casting of anything you want cast. So you just tell them the dimensions you want and you can get a casting of a tooth. Half hour behind, but play BioShock. It's amazing. I'll check it out for sure. Beef Sleazy. Sounds fun to me.
I know. So
How?
it looks a bit bigger than it is. So this is all root. So this would be stuck in the jaw. This would
Right,
be
but that
supporting
tip
it.
part is
But
that's the tooth.
The tip, as you call it, and yeah, so that would comfortably go through pretty much any part, of it.
Wow.
And then you realise just how thick
Oh my gosh, these people are a joke.
it is. So this is a cast of a thing called Carcharodontosaurus from Africa. You get it down in Niger and a few other places like that. And they're very, very big. Not as big as T-Rex, but not a million miles away. And then if you look at the teeth in profile, they're a surprisingly similar shape. And
teeth are in similar shape? I can't imagine it. I just can't even conceive of that teeth are in similar shape.
not far off in size as well.
Also, like a T-Rex, like, let's imagine the T-Rex exists, right? And it has, from an evolutionary view, it comes from something that's not itself, obviously. That's part of evolution. But it develops, right? We're granting him his entire fantasy with the teeth and everything. It basically had to evolve and adapt and grow these giant teeth for some reason that was suitable, which means it was tearing into very, very massive animals, like giant, massive animals, right? That, from that view, that's what it needed to do. But it also had to come from a place that didn't do that. Like, it had to be a product of something that wasn't that. So what is this world, in their view, of a T-Rex? What is this world? You know what I mean? Like, what is it they are eating and hunting? And he would say, well, the other big animals. But the problem with this is that there had to be in a time where that didn't exist, but they were on their way toward this. So, this progression toward this reality. And they can't ever tell you. They don't want to talk about this stuff. They just want to look at them. I mean, this dude is a nut job. This is like you know how they have those like A&E shows, like My Unhealthy Obsession with dryer sheets. My Unhealthy Obsession. What is it? I like to bite into toilet paper rolls daily. This guy should be on the show.
And then you look at them that way on, and you realize it's a third of the width. So this isn't just massive, it's thick. And of course,
Could it be that there were larger dinosaurs and they got smaller? Well, everything has to be possible. But to have a big dinosaur to begin with, it needs to come from something smaller, right? Unless someone thought like the first ever ancestor of a dinosaur was just a massive thing somehow that just constructed itself.
thick, it makes it strong.
Yeah, Mind Strange Addiction. Yeah, this guy is a nut job.
And with that giant head, with all that extra bone and then all the extra musculature attached to that giant head, they've got this uber powerful bite and the ability to just chomp through basically anything it wants to.
This guy's way too excited.
So yeah, they are truly unusual in that regard. Even actually compared to a lot of the other very big tyrannosaurs, they're often a kind of step above.
This guy's wife, if he has one, he doesn't have a ring on or anything, but it's probably a dude actually. Every time it gets to the point where someone's going to offer for more wine, oh, would you like a topper or wine? And he starts talking about dinosaurs. They all look at their watch. They're like, well, it's gotta get up tomorrow. Oh, yeah, dinosaurs. That's really interesting. I gotta go.
In their proportion.
I've got dinosaur socks on, which are also the same size of the teeth. So I've got dinosaur socks that are made to look like the teeth. You want to see my socks? You want to see my feetsies?
So incredible crushing power in the jaw.
Yeah. And then, as you say, like this really short bull neck, because you've got this massive weight of this
love
head
it.
up front. So you need to hold it up and tip forwards.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't tip forward.
Really quite a massive...
And it's running and not tipping forward. It's just not tipping forward. They basically just conceived of a chicken with a giant tail. That's all they did, with teeth.
Body. Again, there's 2 or 3 other big carnivorous dinosaurs, which people argue, oh, maybe they're a little bigger than T-Rex, maybe they're a little smaller, but it's always in terms of length, which is one way of looking at things. You know, pythons are very long, sooner or later.
Oh, here we go. The hunting strategy. This guy, look at his eyes. Look at the dude's eyes, man. Calm down, buddy.
So let's zoom out. What did it eat?
What did it eat? How do we know what it ate? You just tell me what it ate based on your invented idea of 500 million billion years ago. Go ahead.
I mean, you could go for the classic joke of whatever it wanted, but the reality is,
mostly pumpkins, wild pumpkins.
The relatively big herbivores that are around at the time, it's probably
The chicken is the latest evolution of the T-Rex, obviously.
largely leaving them alone because, again, just the classic dynamics of predators, even like, quote, super predators like Tyrannosaurus, they're still real animals. If you get injured and you can't hunt, that's probably the end of you. So you don't want to tackle an adult Triceratops that weighs the same as you and has meter and a half long horns on its head.
Yeah, that's the thing, though. Like, to have those teeth that size that he thinks is going on, like, you're obviously going to be needing to justify that by hunting and eating very, very large animals. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you could get away with way less size, you know, it's far smaller teeth by hunting, like, little things that are on the periphery there, you know, baby dinosaurs.
And it's potentially pretty aggressive.
Is it? It's potentially pretty aggressive? How do you know that?
And then
how do you know any of this?
even the big, so the hadrosaurs, the kind of classic duck-billed dinosaurs, they're not present with any like obvious defensives. They don't have armor, they don't have horns or spikes or anything like this, but they're simply massive. Again, you know, yes, T-Rex.
I want him to tell me more about how the greatest super predator of all time had such small hands.
Has got the teeth and the bite, and even if they're a bit rubbish, the claws on the hands, but like just grappling another animal which is the same size as it, there's a risk you're going to get a foot trodden on, that it's going to...
How do you grapple with those little hands, bro? What's grappling? What are you saying? Grappling? There's no grappling.
They get off some kind of body slam or whatever, and then even if you do bring it down, you're never going to eat it. Like, if you bring down an animal that weighs 5 tons, it's nearly your own mass. You're not going to eat it before it goes rotten. That's a huge amount of kind of, not like wasted energy, but you've probably put a lot of effort into this, and you're not getting that much reward out. And again, there are exceptions. You've got things like lynx are the classic one. Lynx are not very big cats, and yet they'll hunt adult deer. It's way bigger than them. Lions hunt things like buffalo, but they're operating in a group, so it's a bit of a cheat. So there are some things that do this, but fundamentally the vast majority of carnivores tackle stuff that's way, way smaller than them. And that's what we see. Every record we have of basically any large carnivorous dinosaur where you have stomach contents where it's like consumed something, or healed bite marks, we get quite a few. There's a handful of them where there's an obvious damage to a bone, in more than a couple of cases with a tooth broken off in the bone, and then the bone has healed over it, so you know it got away. They're juveniles. They're relatively young animals, and that's what...
Conjecture expert, totally, Zorch. It's like exactly what I was thinking. That I couldn't think of the word. I was like a speculative expert.
They're targeting.
What do you specialize in?
Welcome to the Lex Friedman podcast. Our next guest is a speculative expert. He specializes in historical conjecture.
It makes ecological sense. It's what modern animals do for very good reason. Juveniles are relatively small and weak. They don't have the horns or frills or armor or shields and other stuff.
This guy's having a manic episode. He really is. He's losing credibility the more he talks, not because of what he's saying, which that itself could be looked at, but just how he is. You're like, stay away from the kids' parties.
They're naive. You often have to learn what predators are, or you have to learn how to avoid them, or to check the wind, or even physically see them before you...
The small arms is an evolutionary trade-off. Yeah, but there's no such thing as trade-offs, General Woundwort. I know you're being facetious, I believe, but a trade-off assumes an evaluator. There's no evaluation. There are no trade-offs, in fact. There's no such thing as a trade-off in evolution.
See them kill something else before you know that they're a threat. And juveniles forage badly. They're relatively inefficient, so actually they need to eat more for their size than an adult does. And then on top of that, they're not very experienced at foraging. Tarbosaurus, which is a very, very close relative of T-Rex, it's the nearest...
This section's called The History of Dinosaurs.
Species, or nearest genus that we have. But T-Rex is probably occupying almost all of Western North America. So at times the East was kind of split off and separate.
But the entire surface of Earth had dinosaurs on it.
Oh, yeah.
Most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but a comet, like, what's the story? A comet in Mexico killed all of them, so all the dinosaurs existed everywhere, but a comet eliminated all of them. Can you tell me how that works, sir?
Yeah, we've got them in Antarctica. We've got them in Antarctica even close to the mass extinction event.
Just an insane...
A mass extinction event. This is wild. Wild.
number of dinosaur species all over the Earth. Just the same kind of variety we have in the animal kingdom today. You just have in the dinosaur.
I mean, this is like, how many dinosaur species were there? I mean, I basically wrote it.
This is so retarded. This is so stupid. Not only the extinction event is so retarded and illogical, it makes no sense at all. There's got to be a reason they invented an extinction event so that they couldn't find the rest of them, essentially. That's my hunch, is that they needed an extinction event because otherwise they'd have to justify the absence of every other proto-dinosaur that they need to have exist if evolution is true. So how convenient to be like, oh, the dinosaurs existed in all of these places everywhere with all the variation of species that also came from not that in a variation of species, but they're all gone. We don't see them. We don't see any of the remnants. We have very minimal amount left of what we're finding or whatever. But they're all gone from one event. Interesting. Can you tell me any other example in history that we know of where an extinction event targeted a specific animal? You notice how that's the narrative? It just targets. They never mention everything else that this extinction event annihilated, which we would just as likely have the same amount of evidence for existing, right, as dinosaurs. But the event specifically almost targeted the dinosaurs. Specifically. All the other animals that we see today that have ancestors are survivors of the extinction event, right? But the extinction event was strong enough to kill all the dinosaurs, specifically the dinosaurs, in the whole world. Right? Specifically, it was a type of meteor that was like, I hate those fucking things. I hate those things. And yet you need small animals, moderately sized animals, large animals to survive this extinction event for us to have all the animals we have today. So there's this, you know what I mean? It's like, how do you have both of these? It's just insane. I mean, they're just literally making up something that if you started asking just really basic questions, they can't answer these basic questions.
So I book chapter about this.
They're like, well, no, the extinction event, the animals in the water survived it. Why? What do you mean? How does that follow?
Because there's so...
Denver has last dinosaur made me believe in them. That's funny. There's a spot near where I live here in Colorado on the side of a mountain. There are like these giant like chicken footprints that they're saying are dinosaurs. And, you know, I visited before I started even like caring or questioning about any of this. So I just kind of, you know, you pay a tip or whatever and you get to see it. And it's on the side of a wall and I'm thinking, something doesn't make sense about this. Like, first of all, the clarity of the print itself is so new looking and so clear and clean. And it doesn't make sense because it looks like there's one big chicken footprint in one place and then there's a couple over here, but they're not preserved in a way that there's walking around, but they're perfectly preserved individually. So you get this perfect preservation of a footprint that's perfectly looking like this other footprint over there, almost the exact model, almost like it was pressed in or something. And then the way in which they're distributed makes no sense given the level of preservation. And then I look into like, well, what do you mean? How did this all start? How did someone randomly find these footprints on the side of the highway such that it just happened to be in a place where you can pull off the road and donate to looking at it. And its origin it was very questionable. It was like, it wasn't like this big event. It was like someone, kind of was like, oh, let's discover footprints. You're like, it's all so sketchy to me.
So many, but this would make the number high, but this would make the number lower, but this would make the number high, but this would make the number lower. Counter versus counter arguments that you can guesstimate.
Water creatures can swim away from a meteor? Really? So a giant meteor big enough to annihilate all of the dinosaurs in the whole world, you're saying the water creatures could swim away from that. Okay, well, no, they wouldn't need to swim away. The ones who weren't in the vicinity would survive, but then so would the dinosaurs. You can't have both, bro. You can't have a view that says a giant meteor that landed in a specific location killed all of the dinosaurs that are in every location, and also say there are other animals that survived it because they weren't in the location. Well, no, that would apply to the dinosaurs too. There's no reason. You don't have a good reason. You had to invent the extinction event for a very specific reason. It handles the absence of everything else that needed to be the case. It handles it. It deletes everything. It's like alt control delete of history. They're just constantly deleting their history. Sorry. Extinction event. That'll stop them from looking into it. It's gone. It's all gone. Everything's gone. You don't understand, Jimbob. Extinction evolved to only target dinos. It was a random mutation. Craig, probably. AJ, $10. Thank you so much. They need an extinction event because there actually was a biblical flood in Genesis and history. Yeah, a flood actually makes way more sense than a meteor, by the way. The fake and gay version of reality, also dragons. Yeah, they're like, there's no evidence of a flood. And you're like, how did we get water here? They're like, well, meteors delivered water to the earth and eventually covered the entire earth with water. And you're like, is that a flood? You're like, yeah, but it's not a Bible flood. It's a cosmic flood, bro.
Almost any number and probably be.
If you actually think about the asteroid event, it makes no sense. It's as absurd as the primordial soup. They're all kind of concocted at the same in the same time frame too.
Very accurate or very far out.
Yeah, but we should say that a large number of dinosaur species are constantly being discovered.
Yeah.
It supposedly put ash into the air, blocked out the sun, killed plants and food for them and something. Yeah, but then again, it's like, for everyone? Well, obviously. And then they go, well, no, the ones that survive adapted to survive, and those are the ones who turned into humans. Okay. So really, the evolutionary view, if you think about it, the common ancestor, they should really be pointing to their timeline of this extinction event. And if they could coherently extrapolate all of the supposed organisms and animals and populations that already existed, by the way, at that time, how it is you craft a story from that point in time outward to now, and if that makes sense.
Yeah, so we've named, give or take, in the realm of 1,500, 1,600 valid species. That is, not everyone agrees on every species, but most.
We don't even agree on a species being an objective term in evolution.
People would be satisfied with that number. But we also name in the realm of 40 to 50 a year, and we've been doing that for at least the last 10, 12 years. That number is
a valid species.
Rocketing up.
Rocketing up. We are just inventing, like, in light speed, new species of dinosaurs. I mean, we found a jaw the other day, and I was like, that jaw doesn't look like another thing we found, so that's a new species. I found a tail butt. I found a dinosaur anus the other day. Not like any of the other dinosaur anuses I've ever seen. And I was like, that's another one. Another one.
There's no...
Matthew Newman, $5. Thank you so much. Why were people afraid of nukes if higher energy asteroids didn't destroy the atmosphere? Well, they would just say it changed the atmosphere. It also catalyzed new development and mutations. In fact, they should take an accelerationist approach to nukes. You know what I mean? Why aren't we using radiation to catalyze mutation? You know what I mean? Why not? Did it in Marvel.
No signs of slowing down. There's loads of like we still never really explored India very much. We're starting to find entirely new beds in places like Ecuador. Argentina, we know, has a ton of stuff, but we've never excavated there very much. Australia, we know there's a ton of stuff. We haven't excavated there very much.
What? Why not? What do you mean? How do you know there's a ton of stuff if you didn't find it? What?
So there's lots of places.
This guy's so lost. Why does he have pure black eyes?
Even now to still go through.
This
guy plays that zoo simulator game on PC.
It's a good moment.
He's like, everyone's like, it's dinner time, honey. He's like, wait a second. I'm almost done with the pigeon enclosure. Hold on a second, love. Just tending to my elephants on the computer.
To take a brief tangent and look at paleontology. So how do we find these fossils? What's the magic? What's the science, the art?
Magic. Yeah, magic.
The same way, more or less, that people did in the 1750s or whenever you first start getting them.
This guy's giggling a lot.
There's, for dinosaurs in particular, but this is true of the vast majority of stuff, there's essentially two ways of doing it. The simple one is where you have quarry.
We need AI says only 25 million live. 25 million of what live in Australia? People? That's why you didn't find a lot of stuff there? That's a weird cope. How does it follow that ordinary people find dinosaurs? I mean, people, according to this guy, the methodology is it's actually specialized people who find dinosaurs, just like specialized people find diamonds through kimberlite. You know, they figure out where this stuff is, and they actually invest in going there. The amount of people in the city has no relevance to the findings.
Of particularly things like lithographic limestone.
Abby Zong, that's a good British accent. I have to disagree with you, Abby. It's one of my worst, but thank you.
So the printing
boy
limestones, or stuff that's very similar to that. Sometimes that's often volcanic. You get these super fine layers of sediment.
He plays Turok. I love Turok. This is one of my favorite games.
And that's where you get these places of exceptional preservation. Whenever you see like the feathers, or almost always whenever you see the dinosaurs, it's like, oh, we got the skin, we got the claws, and like the whole skeleton's laid out. So Archaeopteryx being like the first bird being this absolute classic example.
It's a good point, Zorch. You have actually more ability to do paleontology the less population that you have. And so you're like, that's a good one.
It's from these beds. And there you find them by basically splitting limestone. We don't usually dig for them. It's because there are quarry workers and people who are already doing this because the stone is useful. Because there might be one decent fossil for every, few hundred tons of rock you shift. In which case, you could get every paleontologist in the world there for a couple of years and you wouldn't find very much. You rely on the fact that there's hundreds of guys doing this constantly.
Interesting. I bet none of those guys, I don't know, have maybe an investment in finding a dinosaur. Isn't this wild? Listen to this. The authenticity and the authority in his methodology relies on a field that isn't dedicated to that field. It's like, oh, bunch of poor guys in the quarries. We rely on them to find our dinosaurs. So, sometimes I'll get a call in the middle of the night. Very exciting. Once I see that it's from Namibia. Little calls me up. He says, I found something, Daddy. What? Your entire bedrock, no pun intended, of discovery is based on poor people who dig in quarries and give you their dinosaur findings? What? Dark says, wait, Jimbob, you don't think dinosaurs exist? I already covered this. Large animals existed. Large animals exist. What they refer to as dinosaurs is a concoction. I mean, it's a narrative. It's a story. Totally. Everything they fabricated as a narrative for what dinosaurs are, when you say that word dinosaurs, is complete storytelling.
And then sooner or later they'll find something, and then you've got it. That's the super easy way. The only slightly more complicated way is you go to somewhere where geologically we know it's the
massive animals too. Yeah, massive.
Right age, and it's the right kind of rock, and ideally fossils have been reported from there before.
Thank you so much. $10 adds to the goal. The second goal, 17 of 50, y'all. Thank you for your generosity today, helping me fund myself to Nashville for my first in-person debates, 2 of them. Appreciate that. It does require funding. We're leaving our kids and bringing MadeByJimbob. She's my media/manager. Wouldn't the evolutionary drive to design some technology to ring the reward bell, isn't that what guides evolutionary direction? I don't know if they would say that, Abject Fool. I brought this up before, and that would assume that there's some sort of knowledge about where things are going. But they deny that. They actually wholly depend on random mutation producing traits and things, which they can't demonstrate that. But even if you granted it, traits and mechanisms and appendages that do things. But they don't know if it's advantageous until later. So the reward is surviving, but it's not really a reward because you didn't choose to do anything. It's not one behavior that you chose to do. It's an accidental reward system. So it doesn't make any sense. / moral support, yeah.
And again, geologists map all the world's geology years ago in quite a lot of detail. There's gaps, there's places where we don't have the details, but in general,
you saw a video of Begbear challenging Andrew to debate. Oh, of course he does. Andrew might even take him up on that, but that's just that is the definition of clout chasing. You know what I mean? He wants back in. He wants in the game. Old Begbear. He's like, what? This guy's on Pierce Morgan? What? This guy's on this thing? A what? And I'm sure Andrew is come more into the periphery of old Begbear because Andrew Wilson just had it out with Andrew Meyer. Andrew Meyer is a big Owen Benjamin simp. Big one. Big simp.
We know. And then you go there, and then you walk around, and you look. And that's basically it.
But debate him on what, anyway? I mean, that would be... I would wonder what the topic is. Here's my late fee. I missed your anti-dino arguments. Thank you so much. Dark, appreciate you.
And you're looking for something that's sticking out of the rock.
Yeah. So you always get the...
Mark G says, Jesus spoke about evolution too. He said, be like me. So he is the first evolutionist. No, that's funny, but no.
So there's this...
Be like me is a metaphysical, spiritual claim, not a naturalist claim.
Constant, and I think, borderline myth of the idea that dinosaurs and mammoths and lots of other fossil things, entered lots of indigenous cultures because it's impossible that the guys were wandering.
Andrew did a Lunatics on the Internet segment. Oh, he did a lot more than that. I mean, I would say that at my debate with that guy, Andrew was the moderator, and everything that happened after that, Andrew basically locked in on, this is this lunatic stuff is promising.
There's a museum in Glendive, Montana that tries to present dinosaurs from a creation narrative.
Oh boy.
My sister calls it the Dinosaurs for Jesus Museum. Anyways, all the sculptures were 70% to 95% plaster.
Dinosaurs for Jesus is hilarious. That's really funny. Pickle jars and how Andrew evolved from a T-Rex who couldn't open pickle jars. Yeah, you'd think if we were related, I mean, we'd all be able to do that. Benjamin Balderson, also another one who was at the effect of that that grifter's accusations and slander. I'm late. I hope this is the second goal. It is, Craig. Yeah, it is.
Wandering around, say, Dakota, and the Native Americans didn't come across some dinosaur
Thanks for that Bob chat, by the way, from Who Spoke Through Vagine. Appreciate you.
fossils. That I'd agree with. It's pretty much impossible they didn't come across some dinosaur fossils. Did they come across a whole skeleton laid out on the ground? No, because those don't usually exist. Because even if they're tougher or... It doesn't matter.
I have to eat in a bit. Yeah, I have to leave. I have a call at 3 o'clock. That's still an hour, but I want to eat and rest my brain. I also have orthothugs at 5. So.
Or if they're tougher or weaker than the surrounding rock. Dinosaur bones are,
RIP says, man, pray for Blowin. He's demonically influenced. Yeah, I do pray for him. I don't usually announce it to people, but now that you said it, I do. Every week. Every week.
Some way, shape, or form, they're lithified. They turn to rock, and they will absorb some of the minerals from...
All right. This guy I might have to revisit, because he's super excited, and I really like his enthusiasm for his fantasy. I really do. Honestly. I think he's, I like his enthusiasm a lot.